Going live. You're live! Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Nioh 2, the complete edition, on the GTX 1050 Ti, 750 Ti, 570, 580, and 1650 Super. If the game doesn't run particularly well, we're going to do the 2060 as well after this livestream, separately. How are you guys doing? Thanks to KOEI TECMO Games for providing a copy of the game. I played it for a couple hours because I got early access to get to know the controls a little bit better. I don't know, just have some early thoughts. So I have bad news. It runs similar to Nioh 1, so it doesn't run particularly well, unfortunately. So let's launch the game right away. Gotta talk about some stuff before starting. Hi, how are you doing, guys? Is it free? No. It just arrived to PC. It was a PS4 exclusive game. Now it's on PC. Starting from today, you can find it on Steam. So yeah, let's skip all this. I'm going to lower my volume. Hey, how are you doing, guys? So this is version 1.25, should be the latest one. So let's go into the options menu and I'll show you a few things. So there are more options than in the previous game, but still very few options. So we got the resolution, the rendering resolution. You can now unlock the frame rate to 120. We're going to keep it to 60. Shadows, you can disable them, low, medium or high. And then you got the effects, the textures, ambient occlusion and dynamic reflections. So first advice, keep the effect quality on low. Apparently when effects show up, it destroys the performance, and I can attest to that. Low effects help me quite a bit, so keep it on low. Then here, the frame rate cap, if you keep it at 120, that's okay. But I recommend you keep it at 60 personally, because if you do not get anywhere close to 60 and you have the frame rate cap to 120, the game will just be in slow motion. So apparently when you select 120 FPS, the game speed changes. So advice, keep it at 60 if you're not planning on getting 120 frames. If you get less than 60 with this enabled, you're going to get some slow motion. So my advice, 60 frames. So yeah, let's put the shadows on medium to get a small performance boost, and that's basically it. That's how you should be getting 30s. So yeah, let's call this 1080p, low effects, medium shadows. So the rest should be basically on default. So yeah, doesn't run great, but hey, let's try to have a good experience with it. I already started the game with my character, but I'm going to play from the very start of the game. So yeah, how are you guys doing? Never going to get rickrolled? Well, it's never late to be rickrolled. I've been rickrolled my entire life, so I really just don't care anymore. Okay, so we're at the first level, as you can see. We have low effects, medium shadows, but we enabled ambient occlusion and reflections. But the thing is, the game is super unstable, so this is my 30 FPS target, but when you run around, the game just drops super quickly. I mean, look at this, I'll start running around. It's pretty inconsistent in the frame time department as well. So yeah, this is the first I wanted to show you, the first thing I wanted to show you. Look at this, when effects show up here, we drop pretty quickly. So yeah, let's get away from here to the next checkpoint so I can show you something else. Hang on, gotta skip these people. Let's get away. As you can see, I'm never good at this style of game, but I enjoy it from time to time. So let's get to this checkpoint. This is one of the places where I got the most drops, here when looking at this village. So yeah, as you can see, we're into the 40s here, but when I run around, it can drop as low as 30. So yeah, pretty inconsistent, but as I was saying, this is with the 60 FPS cap in effect. So the thing is, when you put the 120 FPS mode, if you do not get anywhere close to 60 and you selected 120, the game will be in slow motion, so just cap it at 60, do yourself a favor. Yes, I'm live! So yeah, my first advice again, effects on low, like this, and the FPS cap 60 instead of 120. Let me show you what happens if you do not pay attention to that. I'm putting it in 120. Is controlled better than Nioh 1 or not? In my opinion, it controls a lot better, but runs a little bit worse, so at least we didn't lose a lot of performance. So here's with the 120 FPS mode. Look at this, when I get 30 frames, the game goes in slow motion. So if you're planning to play at 60 or 30 frames, just do not select the 120 FPS mode, you're going to get slow motion. If you do not get 120 FPS, I mean, look at that. So yeah, for the normal game speed, just make sure to select the 60 FPS cap, so you don't get slowdowns, so the game doesn't slow down at all, and you get the correct frame pacing and all that. So yeah, I mean, very few systems can get 120 in this game, so lock it at 60, do yourself a favor. So yeah, let's play a little bit of the game like this. And we're going to try then lower resolutions, 60 FPS mode. Just to remind you guys, this game is on PS4, PS5, PS4 Pro, and just today released it on PC. So PS4 Pro, I think it was 1080p with some drops into 900p for 60 FPS, and PS4 normal one was like 720p with checkerboarding for 60 FPS. So yeah, the thing is that it's pretty inconsistent, just like the first game, but it does control better. Yeah, pretty inconsistent, so this will be my way to get 30 frames. So lower shadows to medium, effects on low, you should be okay if you wanted to play at 1080p. 30 frames per second on the 1050 Ti. So yeah. Of course, this is a difficult game. As you can see, the normal dudes kill me super quickly, so I have to pay more attention. But yeah, I wanted to show you that first, what happens with the numbers and all that. It runs pretty similar to Nioh 1, let's just keep it at that, but it looks a little bit better, at least. So yeah. Come on, come at me, bro. Are you playing with mouse and keyboard? Oh, good point. I forgot to mention that. I'm using a PS5 controller. This game has PS4 prompts, but you can change that in controls, I think. Yeah, you can select a different button prompt. Since I'm using a PS5 controller, it recognizes that as PS5. But you can select keyboard only on keyboard and mouse. Let's see how keyboard and mouse works. Yeah, I don't like the keyboard and mouse controls, but I mean, it's doable if you want to do it. You can also change the prompts in the options menu. Personally, I recommend using a controller, but mouse and keyboard is doable. So yeah, for the guys that were wondering, yeah, you can do mouse and keyboard, but I do not recommend it. It doesn't feel nearly as good as using a gamepad. Personal preference, of course, but the option is there, which is good to see. Some Japanese games sometimes do not offer a mouse and keyboard option. Oh yeah, this one does. You can even disable the mouse if you want. Holy hell, I'm terrible at this game. Do you think you can get 60 FPS on 4 cores? Yeah, it should be okay. I mean, if it's anything like the previous game. But yeah, this is how you get 30 frames on this game without drops below that number. Let's try to get 60 frames on 1080p. And unfortunately for that, you gotta make a lot of sacrifices. So you gotta disable the shadows, disable the reflections, and the ambient occlusion. And that should give you almost 60. So this is basically low settings. Low settings, no shadows. So yeah, This isn't even enough for 60s on 1080p, if you were wondering. So yeah, we're still dropping into the 50s, and the game looks significantly worse. So you got no shadows, no reflections, no ambient occlusion. So yeah, if you want 60s with better visuals, you probably want to lower the resolution. I think that the first game ran similar to this. Maybe it was more difficult to get 60s, but it was doable if you lowered the resolution enough. So yeah. A lot of negative reviews because of the lack of keyboard prompts. There are no keyboard prompts. I'll go in to check it out. Allow me a second. As far as I know, you can change that. Let's find out. Let's see. As far as I know, you could change it, but I didn't change it because I didn't need to. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have any. That's pretty stupid. What the heck? Controls chart, maybe? Nope. Yeah, no vibration, thanks. Yeah, I'm not seeing any keyboard prompts. So somebody lied on Steam. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing any prompt change option, which is pretty weird. Yeah, I'm not seeing any. If you guys know where it is, let me know, because I'm not finding that. So yeah, apparently only PlayStation prompts. Pretty disappointing. So yeah, you'll have to learn the mouse and keyboard by memory, apparently. What a weird thing though. If you're doing a PC port, at least the prompts, get those right. So yeah, only PlayStation buttons prompts are in the port, no Xbox and mouse and keyboard prompts. Yeah, I read somewhere that you could change them, but apparently not. So yeah. How much FPS can you get on a 1660 Super and what graphics? You should be able to max it out with medium shadows and get 60 frames. That's my expectation from that card. Unfortunately, I don't have one right here. But considering how it ran on the 2060 that I made a quick test, it should be okay if you lower those shadows to medium. 1080p 60 should be doable. But yeah, even on base PS4, if you want 60 frames, you need to go like 720p levels on the non-pro PS4. So yeah. I forget that there's a stamina bar in this game. But yeah, as you can see, for 50 to 60, with some drops when effects show up, on 1080p you need to lower basically everything. So yeah, let's now lower the resolution. In order to do that, unfortunately, I have to go to the title screen. So let's go back to the title screen. What time is it in your country, Santiago? It's 1 p.m. in my country. So yeah, one other thing, you need to change the resolution, you need to go back to the menu. So let's do that. So we were on 1080p, let's go now for 900p. Let's see what we can do with that resolution. Hello JLT, how are you doing, man? Good to see you. So now we're on 900p and we're going to try max settings first. So max settings, low effects, because basically no visual difference as far as I could tell, and it improved the frame rates in general. So yeah, 900p, high shadows, low effects, ambient occlusion on, and reflections on. So yeah, let's go back. RTX 2060 at 1440p. Is it pretty hard to run? Tu nivel de inglés es muy bueno. ¿Vives en USA? No, vivo en Uruguay. Gracias. 1440p on the 2060. I'm not expecting 60s, especially on the high setting. You probably have to lower the settings quite a bit for 60 frames per second. I'll probably just do 1080p highest settings. That gives you 60 on the 2060. Okay, so now 900p, low effects. So So now you can do high shadows if you want to. So yeah, you're going to basically get 30 frames. When you're attacking enemies in close quarters, you're going to get 50s, and it will be pretty inconsistent. My advice here, lock it to 30. But yeah, you can get there. Headshot. Waiting for 570, yeah, that's coming after the 750 Ti, which should be super quickly. The game doesn't run particularly well. So yeah, holy hell, I'm terrible. Hey Santiago, is GPU market getting better in Uruguay? Unfortunately not, it's still super expensive and there's very few cards. So, okay, let's swap weapons. I'm pretty bad with this one. Let's go with the katana. And pay more attention to what I'm doing instead of reading chat. Alright, gotcha. Bye-bye. Let's get the archer first. Come on. There we go. I also forget that there are stances. There's 2 archers. Holy hell. I always die in the same spot. Seems like this stream is early. No, it's not early. We are like 30 seconds behind. So yeah, pretty early, maybe 1 PM in my country. So as I was saying, 900p, if you just lower the effects to low, you can do over 30 frames per second, but you're going to get pretty inconsistent frame rates. If you aim for 60 here, I'll just lock it to 30, because if not, you're getting super inconsistent numbers. Oh yeah, let's go this way. So yeah, as you can see, you get pretty inconsistent stuff. If you do 60 frames here, just lock it to 30, should be more consistent, but it won't look as smooth. Can you explain me if megahertz in RAM matter? Yeah, they do matter, so no need to explain it. Higher megahertz is usually better, but make sure to go for dual channel on the RAM. That'll give you a better experience in general. Let's get that archer over there. Headshot. Come on. Please die. Okay, perfect. Good job. So as I was saying, for 900p, lock it to 30 in this card. To get 60s on this one, you probably had to lower some stuff. So yeah, let's change those settings. So as you can see, if you want 30 frames, my advice on 900p, high shadows, low effects, ambient occlusion on, and reflections on. Let's now put shadows on low. So we got a boost into the mid 50s. Let's disable the reflections. Let's see. Okay, a couple extra frames, and without ambient occlusion, we get even closer to 60. So let's keep it like that. At least we have shadows, so I don't need to disable them like on 1080p. So low shadows, and the rest basically turned off. So low settings, low shadows. So no reflections, no ambient occlusion. Let me see if reflections destroy the frame rate. Yeah, it doesn't seem to change that much in this particular case. So let's call this low shadows and reflections on. So yeah, no ambient occlusion, but we get low shadows, low effects, and we don't lose the shadows like on 1080p that you have to disable them. Doesn't have keyboard prompts like Nioh 1. The patch will be coming soon. Okay, so there will be a patch apparently for keyboard prompts. Yeah. So on 900p you can get closer to 60 without sacrificing the shadows like on 1080p. On 1080p, if you wanted 60s, you have to, well, not even 60s, 50 to 60. You needed to completely disable the shadows. In this case, doesn't seem to be absolutely necessary. Come on, energy bar. Gotta love when 2 enemies are attacking at the same time. You're dead, awesome. Come on. Okay, I'm getting a little bit better at the game. Good. Alright. That's how you do it. So as I was saying, 900p for 50 to 60, you probably want to keep shadows on low. The thing is, when effects show up and you're running around, it likes to drop pretty often. Yeah, this is going to kill me. Come on. Holy hell. Oh, he can get the health back? What? No. Don't do that. Oh no, my character is tired. So yeah, probably if you want decent graphics at 60 frames on this card, you gotta do 720p, so allow me a second that this game, whoa, cannot be paused. How's the game so far? I like the game. I played a couple hours before the live stream, a couple hours in the past week, just to get familiarized with the controls. And so far it's a pretty fun Souls-like game, but it does have performance problems. As you can see, when you're running around and you move the camera, sometimes it drops like that, which I'm not sure why, but hey, it's an issue. So as I was saying before, if you want 50 to 60 on 900p, lower the shadows to low, disable ambient occlusion and enable reflections, and effects to low. That should give you basically 50 to 60 with some drops that happen on every hardware I tested this on. So yeah, let's go back to the title screen and swap to 720p. Does 720p upscale to 1080p look better than native 900p? No, I think that 900p looks better in my opinion. The amount of pixels is higher, so in my opinion it does look better than 720p on a 1080p screen. So if you can go for 900p, go for it, looks good. So now we're doing 720. So 720p, we're going to put shadows on high, effects on low, because effects on low runs better and it doesn't make a huge difference. So we enable basically everything except in the effects, which most people are reporting that runs pretty bad with effects on high. And that's true. So yeah, we're going to do max, let's call it high settings. Oh, this was, oh my god, I put 1080p. This is 720p now, sorry for that. So high settings, low effects, and I'm going to fix the FPS counter. So yeah, now we're at 720p. Apologies for the mistake there. We were at 900p. How much space for this game needed? First Nioh was 100 gigabytes. We're going to check that out when I swap GPUs. But as you can see, at 720p, highest settings but low effects, we're getting 60s here. Let's run around and see if we can maintain it. Yeah, we drop into the 40s when moving around in certain places. So let's fight a little bit there. And we're going to lower the shadows to medium. That's probably going to be the biggest difference. Come on, hit me. Alright, reduce it to atoms, completely gone. Yeah, we're dropping into the 50s and 40s pretty often. So yeah, at 720p, I do not recommend the highest settings, even if you lower the effects to low. Doesn't make a lot of sense, so let's lower those shadows to medium. So, low effects, medium shadows. That should give us a good boost in performance. Very dark area though may run worse somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know, I haven't played enough to know. But in general, these areas have a good amount of shadows, a good amount of geometry, it has reflections, so I think it's a good place to test, since I saw many drops anyways. So as you can see now, is closer to 60, not dropping as often. So my advice, best way to play the game on the 1050 Ti, 720p, medium shadows, low effects, and the rest basically maxed out. That appears to be the best way. Since this game at 30 frames doesn't feel particularly great, because it requires a lot of attention. Let's go for that headshot. Almost. Come on, die. ¿Qué piensas del CPU Ryzen 5600? Debería ser suficiente para jugar todo por el momento. Somebody asked me if the Ryzen 5 1600 is still worth it. If you can get it for a good price, should still be okay for every game out there, so wouldn't worry too much about it. Framerate cap is locked to 60, please check it out. Yeah, it's locked to 60, but you can select 120 FPS as a cap. Personally, I do not recommend using the 120 FPS mode, because if you don't get 120 FPS, you get like 40s, the game will be in slow motion. So only select the 120 FPS cap if you can get to that number with a reasonable margin, let's call it that way. If not, again, the game will be in slow motion when you drop below 60, so make sure if you select the 120 FPS cap that you can get to that number. If not, the game speed will be affected. Oh, come on. I have no more arrows, so I cannot cheese my way out of this. But yeah, so far at 720p, I'm getting the best experience so far. It's mostly at 60. So yeah. Love your content, man, keep it up. Well, thank you so much. So yeah, as you can see, pretty similar to Nioh 1, but it's more consistent when you're aiming for 60 than the previous game. And it looks a little bit better. So yeah, again, my advice, holy hell, do not die first of all, and do 720p on this card. But yeah, as you can see, there it is. Nioh 2 on the 1050 Ti, that's what I recommend. Let's go back to the beginning. Yeah, as you can see, when you traverse through certain parts, for some reason the game drops a lot. And people, even with high-end cards, are complaining about that issue. It only happens in very specific places. It also happened on the consoles. So yeah, probably the game loading something when I'm running around. Not sure what's up with that. Super annoying. Let's get this guy. Let's swap weapons. This should give me... Yeah, never mind. So yeah, those places just drops no matter what. Even on a 2060, I had that issue. So yeah, performance is not great. Especially when you're running around like this. As you can see, it drops for a second and goes back up. And there's not a lot going on. So yeah. And as you can see, I'm pretty terrible at the game. I only played it for a couple hours. Alright, he's down. Awesome. Lower difficulty? No, there's no option for lower difficulty. This is a Souls-like game. Oh, I forgot that there are different stances. Let's go for the one in the middle, so I can hit faster and not lose all my stamina. Yeah, I forgot that stances in this game are a thing. Let's go lower stance, so I hit quicker. There we go. Now we're talking. Try 900p, I already did it. You can rewind the live stream to see that. But yeah, my advice would be 720p. It's not particularly great, but you can be at 60 way more often on this card. And if you don't mind 30 frames per second, use these settings that I'm using now. Medium shadows, low effects on 1080p, and you're getting there 30 frames per second. So yeah, pretty inconsistent, but that's what we got at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to swap GPUs in a second. Patience, guys. Alright, now we're talking. I can hit faster now. Alright, gotcha. Alright. ¿Te gusta más que pregunte en inglés o en español? En inglés, obviamente, es más fácil responder, es más rápido. So guys, that's the 1050 Ti on Nioh 2. Advice 720p, medium shadows, 60 FPS cap, low effects, and then dynamic resolution, dynamic reflections and ambient occlusion enabled. Basically, that would be my advice for 60 frames per second. If you want to do this at 30 frames, just put it on 1080p, and that should do. If you want 60s on 1080p, you have to disable the shadows, which, as you can see, without shadows, the game looks a lot worse. I mean, look at that. Yeah, significantly worse. So, my advice is 720p, medium shadows, low effects, and that's basically it. You get 60s most of the time, with some drops when running around. That happened to me on basically all the GPUs. So yeah, let's swap to the 750 Ti, it won't take long. It's probably going to be 720p 30, but hey, going to try it out. Time to swap GPUs, and I'm going to see the size of the game so you guys can see it. So time to swap GPUs. Allow me 1 second. No 580 yet, going to do it after the 750, after the 570. So going to test everything. This is only the first card. So 1 second guys. So here's the 1050 Ti I just removed. Let's put it to the side. Time to put the 750 Ti, probably going to be 720p 30, but might as well try it. Okay, it's in. After that, we're doing the 570, so patience, we're getting there. So 1 second. Hey, what's the 1080 performance, 1080p or the GTX 1080? If you're talking about 1080p, you can do 30 frames per second, and if you disable the shadows, which do not do it, the game looks a lot worse. You're getting 30 frames with medium shadows. So yeah, you need this game. Female character creation. Do you have there's an option for that? I didn't know. Puedes hacer 720p, por cierto. Es lo mismo que 720p, no te preocupes. Y yo también. So guys, I'm reloading the drivers. 1 second. Come on. Alright, so we're back into the PC now with the 750 Ti, the legendary graphics card from 2014. So what we're going to do now is open MSI Afterburner, and we're going to launch the game. So, and we're going to see the size of the game. Let me check that super quickly. So Steam apps, common, Nioh 2. So Nioh 2, after the download and it's being installed in your PC, is 76.3 gigabytes. So if you were wondering, that's the size of the game installed. I don't know if the download size is smaller, but 76 gigs, not that bad, but it's pretty big game. So it includes all the DLC and all that good stuff. So time to jump into the 750 Ti. Did you finish Nioh 1? No, I didn't. I didn't like the controls that much, but in this one it feels a lot better. And the performance back then was a little bit too bad for the hardware I had, so I wanted to play it at 60. I didn't have the good hardware to do so. Maybe after Nioh 2, I give it another try. ¿Qué auriculares estoy usando? Los HyperX Cloud Core. Guys, headphones I'm using, HyperX Cloud Core, if you were wondering. Super comfortable, I use them all the time. So time for the 750 Ti. First thing we're doing, we're lowering the textures to low. There's only high and low, so put it on low. Low effects, we're going to keep ambient occlusion enabled, dynamic reflections enabled. We're keeping shadows on medium, and that's basically it. So let's see if this works properly, at least 30 frames per second. And then we're doing lower settings. So yeah, we get ambient occlusion, reflections, and some shadows. Alright. Okay, so on the 750 Ti at 720p we're getting 30 to 40. Let's see, when I run around, yeah, I drop into the 20s. I do not know why this happens, but it happens on every card I used in this game. I just get those weird drops in certain parts when running around. So yeah, let's get into a fight. Yeah, pretty inconsistent, so I would probably lock it to 30 on this card. But better than I was expecting. And I wasn't expecting much on this card. So yeah, at least you can play it, I guess. Let's go medium stance. Alright, this way, comrades. Yeah, the frame time is super inconsistent, so guys, lock it to 30 on this card. You're going to get a smoother experience. I'm going to try lowering some settings, but I don't think we're going to get 60s with this card, like at all. I think we're nowhere close to that number. So let's try lowering some stuff. Probably have to disable the shadows and the ambient occlusion, but hey. Alright, so lowest settings, 720p now. So 720p lowest. We're getting 50s, so you're not getting 60s on this card, at least not in this resolution, and not consistently, so yeah, pretty unfortunate, but hey, it's an old card. Kinda expecting low numbers. And without shadows, I think it's not worth looking at it. Without shadows, it looks so much worse, holy hell. I know, I'm being demanding. But I mean, without shadows, it looks terrible. I prefer to sacrifice the performance in this case. But it's a lot smoother. Like this. Are you playing Hitman 3? No, I already did the benchmark on that one. So if you want to check that live stream, I did it last week, I think. But yeah, for an old GPU, pretty decent. So if you want to use the lowest settings, you can get 40 to 60. So yeah. If you want performance, 720p lowest settings, and you can do it. Feels way smoother than 30 frames per second. Yeah, a lot smoother. Oh, he got me. I always forget that I have a stamina bar. Let's swap to the katana. There we go. That's how you do it. Gracias, Mario, se agradece un montón. Still nice to see a lower mid-range card doing an okay job. Yeah, agreed. So yeah, as you can see in the bad parts, you're getting mid-40s with the lowest settings. Let's try now to aim for 30. So we're going to crank up those shadows to medium. The effects, we keep it on low. We enable ambient occlusion and reflections. And we go back to the title screen because I want to do a 30 FPS lock. So we're going to do 1080p. Yeah, I forgot about 1080p. Let's do 1080p low. That's probably going to give us 30 frames. I forgot completely about 1080p. So let's do it super quickly, shouldn't take long. But first we're going to lock it to 30 so it's more consistent. So 30 FPS, 1080p. Alright. So 1080p locked to 30. And we're going to keep medium shadows. Basically, and we have ambient occlusion and reflections. Let's see if this even gives us 30s when playing the game. Hopefully yes, but I have my doubts, so let's give it a try. Aren't you gonna test 1080p lowest setting shadows on? We're going to try it. That's what I'm doing right now. I forgot about 1080p, sorry guys. Will you try the medium again? They released a patch. Probably later, we'll see. As you can see, 1080p with these settings, we're below 30, so let's disable ambient occlusion and reflections. And keep shadows on low. So low shadows. Let's see if we can even play it with some sort of shadows going on 1080p. Yeah, We're dropping below 30, so 1080p probably not a good idea for this card, even while locking it to 30. We're getting a lot of drops. Yeah, pretty inconsistent. Yeah, dropping into the 20s. Do not do 1080p on this card. On this game at least. We're going to get many drops below 30. So yeah, make sure you're not on 1080p. It does drop pretty often, especially when moving around. Yeah, for this card, just stick for 720p. In my opinion, you get decent graphics, at least. You can get pretty good numbers at that resolution. I mean, considering the age of the card, I think 720p is pretty decent. Time to die. How close would you say the GTX 1080 is to the 6GB 2060? It should be basically the same. In general, it depends on the game. I would say the DX12 and Vulcan titles should be faster on the 2060, but that's just my expectation. So yeah, as you can see, 1080p, not a good idea. So let's just go for 720p with a little higher graphics, just to see what we get. What about 900p? I don't think it's necessary to test right now. Let me check super quickly 720p 30, and we're doing 900p. So yeah, we're doing now 720p, aiming for 30 frames with slightly better graphics. So this is 720p, mid shadows, plus SSAO, plus SSR. So you get ambient occlusion, reflections, and shadows. And then we're doing 900p super quickly. Okay, with a 30 FPS cap. Okay. Yeah, this is probably how I would play the game, but it's still dropping frames. Not sure why in this area it's so inconsistent. Just running around already kills it. Yeah, super weird. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, I mean, as long as it's locked, it's okay. The thing is, when you run around, it's not locked at all. It's super inconsistent. I mean, look at that frame time. Your game is freezing after the tutorial area. Weird. Okay, this area appears to be more demanding. Probably a boss fight. I mean, look at my character now. Badass. Alright, he's gone. Reduced to atoms. Yeah, boss fight, boss fight. Yeah, I'm not doing a smidget of damage to this guy. Holy hell. So yeah, probably you want to play at 720p. And the people that are getting freezes in the tutorial area, I do not know, man. I played the tutorial and it was fine. So yeah, let's swap to the 570 now. I've seen enough. 900p I don't think is worth it. At 720p it's already suffering quite a bit. But for a card of this generation, I'm pretty surprised, really. I was expecting a lot worse. So let's turn off the PC, swap to the 570 now. I don't think I will get this game, as you didn't like the first game. Well, yeah, that's a good way to see it. It's pretty similar to the first game, but I like the controls more on Nioh 2 than Nioh 1. So yeah, let's do now the 570. So bye bye 750 Ti. It could do 720p pretty well, so congrats. Time to do the 570. Hopefully we can do better with this one. So 570. Alright, 570, it's in. Let's see how it goes. Water. You have around 100 gigabytes free on your hard drive, should be okay. This game or Sekiro, who's the better visual one? Personally, I like the look of Sekiro a lot more. Personally, I think the graphics on that one are better. But they're completely different games, so just see the controls, which one appeals to you better. Sekiro is super different to this. This feels more like a classic Souls-like game, slightly faster. And it has a bigger variety of weapons, so graphically I like Sekiro, but gameplay wise I'm enjoying this one more. Personal preference, of course. So we're back into the PC now with the 570 installed, so time to launch the game. We're going to aim for 60 frames, hopefully. Yeah, 900p, I do not recommend that on the 750 Ti. Do 720p, 900p, it's a little too much. So we're going to start with the highest settings. Should I try to play at borderless? No, borderless should be worse. In some games I got lower frame rates for some reason, pretty weird. So try to go full screen if you can. Is your headset a Cloud 2? Yeah, basically, the same as a Cloud 2. It's the Cloud Core, but it's the same, just a cheaper version. So yeah, Dark Souls on Nioh. I think Dark Souls is a better starting point, especially Dark Souls 1. And you can get this one later, it has more stuff. Alright, so 1080p, and hang on, they are cleaning the house. 1 second, going to disable the background noise. Apologies guys, didn't know they were going to clean. Hang on, okay. And now let's enable beta broadcast. Alright, so that should suppress the noise. Let me know guys if you can hear me better now. I'm trying the noise reduction. So 60 frames, shadows, let's put it on high, everything on the highest, just to test it out. So yeah, everything on the highest. And let's see. 1080p, highest settings, yeah, everything seems to be fine. Let's jump straight into the game now. I assume because your PC is also rendering the desktop in the background with borderless, I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what happens in the background, really. Okay, so highest settings, 1080p, we're getting 60s here, interesting. Let's run around. Okay, we drop into the 40s in the bad part, but yeah, pretty good. I was expecting a lot worse on this one, on the 570. Probably by lowering the shadows to medium, I can get that 60 FPS experience. But yeah, a lot better, holy hell. It's so smooth now. Jesus Christ. It runs great on the 570. Although it's using almost all the GPU to be able to do this. And the drops into the 40s are pretty annoying when running around, but other than that, it appears to be fine. Okay. Oh no, I'm going to die. So yeah, as I was saying, it's running pretty well now on the 570. I was expecting a lot worse. So they did a good job for the AMD cards, apparently. But yeah, the issue with all the cards that I had was drops here. Although the Nvidia cards had more inconsistent frame times. But yeah, this drops here into the 50s and 40s, pretty annoying. But it feels more consistent, so... yeah, a lot better than the 1050 Ti. The 1050 Ti had a lot of problems in comparison to this, so let's try lowering shadows to medium. Okay, there we jump into the 60s, and we're going to lower the effects to low. That should give us a good boost when running around, because there are some effects happening. So let's call this 1080p high, medium shadows, low effects. So that's basically the settings: low effects, medium shadows, ambient occlusion enabled, and dynamic reflections enabled. And let's see if I run around this part, if I still drop into the 40s. Okay. It's locked to 60. Awesome. Let's see for how long. Let's see if we can maintain it to 60. Saludos Ricardo, héroe FF. Todo bien? So yeah, the 570 is doing a great job. You can play this at 60 frames apparently. Let's see once we get into a place with more effects, but so far so good. You can get decent shadows, you get ambient occlusion, reflections, unlock 60s even when running around, which is weird on the Nvidia cards. I had so much stutter running around. And this one feels a lot smoother. Maybe it runs better on AMD, who knows. And it's not using a lot of system memory either, it's at less than 8 GB. So yeah, pretty impressed with the 570's performance so far. It's down. Yeah, even looking here into the distance, that gave me issues before on the Nvidia cards. It's completely smooth. So, good stuff. Good job, 570. The 580 is going to do max settings then, probably. Do you have the GTX 1060 to be tested? I don't have the 1060 anymore. I might get it again because a lot of people are requesting it. But it should be similar to the 1650 Super. I'm going to test that one after the 580. So after this one, we're doing the RX 580, then the 1650 Super, so stay tuned. That should be similar to the 1060. Alright, let's approach him in a high stance and hit him. Oh, he knew that it was coming. Holy hell. Yeah, super reliable. Let's go with a quicker movement set. There we go, that's how you do it. Alright, yeah, I'm getting a lot better at the game, as you can see. He only hit me once. I've never seen you testing a 5600 XT. No, I did a 1060. 5600 XT, never got one. Too expensive in my country. But it should be much better than this. You should be able to max it out just fine. Oh yeah, at the moment pretty impressed with the 570's numbers on this one. Yeah, even with many effects. Okay, now I'm dropping into the upper 50s when effects show up. Let's go to the boss fight I was before. That should give us a decent drop in performance. Okay, he's dead. You fool, you activated my trap card. Exactly. You got that right. Let's run around, get away. Okay, so now we're in the boss fight area that has more effects. Let's see if we can maintain 60s. Alright, it appears to be fine. They're throwing rocks at me. Okay. Okay, let's go directly to the boss. Let's skip those grunts. It's going to kill me in a second, I know about that. I'm not doing any damage whatsoever. Yeah. But it's stick to 60, so... Guys, if you have a 570, make sure to lower the shadows to medium, effects to low, and that should give you 60 frames on 1080p. Pretty impressed, really. I was expecting a lot worse. So, good stuff. So, we got ambient occlusion, reflections, effects on low, and shadows on medium. That gives us basically 60 locked. So, good stuff. It runs okay. So now let's try super quickly 1440p to see if we can get 30 frames per second. So we go back to the title screen. ¿Qué tanta es la diferencia entre la 1650 Super y la 1660 Super? Unos 15 FPS más, creo. Dark Souls plus Ninja Gaiden speed plus custom waifus Nioh 2. Well, yeah. Sounds realistic. So now we're doing 1440p. Oh, I don't have the option. Hang on a second, gotta restart the game for 1440p. So So as you can see, 1080p is fine. You don't need a lot of changes for it to go smooth, on this card at least. So let's launch the game again. And the status now will be, let's keep it like this right now. 1440p high, medium shadows, low effects. That is probably going to be 30 frames per second. Love this game on PS4, happy it's on PC now. I'll get it for the DLC. Well, yeah, good decision. It has all the DLC included, so you don't have to buy it separately. Everything is included in the package. And you should be able to get better performance than on a PS4, which is always good. As far as I remember, the PS4 has a 60 frames mode, but it drops like to 720p. So yeah, pretty disappointing there. But hey, it is what it is. So 1440p, there we go. 2060, yeah, after this live stream I'm doing another one, but testing the 2060 because I wanted to see if it has DLSS or something. That would be interesting. So 1440p now, we're doing medium shadows, low effects, ambient occlusion and reflections enabled, and that's basically it. Let's see if we can get 30 frames per second. With those settings we were able to get 60s on 1080p, so probably going to be 30 frames at 1440p. So let's see, 1440p now, wish me luck. Okay, 40 frames, if I run around I get 30s. So yeah, if you want to play at 1440p, make sure to cap the frame rate to 60 to avoid those micro stutters, those frame time spikes. But man, the game looks so much better at 1440p, it's ridiculous. Yeah, so much sharper, crazy sharper at 1440p. Yeah, let's get the archer first. The archer, the bow and arrow guy. Okay, got him. Awesome. Let's get those arrows. 1650 Super or 570, which one is good? The 1650 Super should be faster in most games, but the 570 has an 8GB version, so it depends on what you're playing. Personally, I will get the 1650 Super, because most games run better on that one. So yeah. Boom, headshot. But yeah, the 570 can do 1440p at 30 frames per second. And I say 30 frames per second because if you want to play this at 30 consistent, you can do it at 1440p, but 60s, you can probably lower those settings. But you gotta disable the shadows. So yeah, let's try lowering the settings further. So we're going to disable ambient occlusion, reflections, and shadows. So lowest settings, no shadows. So yeah, the game looks significantly worse like this. But hey, if you want performance, you gotta sacrifice. So everything on the lowest except in textures. Isn't there a 120 FPS mode? Yes, but if you drop below 60 on that mode, the game will go to slow motion, so I don't recommend it. It's super hard to get 120 FPS on this game, unless you have something like a 2070 Super. So yeah, avoid 120 FPS on this one. So 1440p, lowest settings, we're getting 50 to 60 apparently. Let's keep playing. Let's go to the boss fight area after killing these two right here. Come at me, bro. There we go. He's gone. Reduced to atoms. Alright. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit better now. I can kill them faster. So let's run around to the boss fight area. Let's dodge this guy. I'm out of here. Yeah, still dropping into the 40s. So personally, I'll either go 1080p 60 or 1440p 30 on this card. So let's get back to the boss fight area. Thanks for replying my comments. Well, love from Uruguay as well, sir. Good to see you in the live stream. I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm learning as much as I can about this game as humanly possible. Alright, so boss fight. This is where I died the first time. Holy hell, he hits so hard. He just destroyed me. Holy hell. You have 16 gigs of RAM, 1063 gigs, i5 7600K. Can I run this? Yeah, should be fine. Make sure to lower those textures though. You only have 3 gigs of VRAM. So yeah, 1440p 30 if you use max settings. Let me show you super quickly that. So shadows on high, effects on high, ambient occlusion, dynamic reflections. And there at 1440p you can do max settings 30 frames per second. If you don't care about the frame rate, you can do that. But if you do care about the frame rate, just do 1080p, medium shadows, low effects, and you'll be good to go. 60 frames locked. So yeah, that's my advice for the 570. That'll give you locked 60s. But you can also do 1440p if you want better visuals. So yeah, time to do the 580, so let's get out of the game. So we turned off the PC and we changed to the 580. So the 570, it surprised me, it can do 60 frames with medium shadows, low effects on 1080p. So good stuff. You can basically play the game at 60 frames locked. Don't unlock the frame rate, please. If you don't get more than 60 or more in the 120 FPS mode, you're going to get slow motion. So keep that in mind, super important. Now time to do the 580, the super triple fan version. Did I already do the 750 Ti? Yes, I did it. You can do 720p 30, so it's playable. But make sure to go for medium to low settings on that one. Alright, so the 580 is in. 1 second, guys. Would you do 8K? Yeah, on the 1650 Super, but as a joke, of course. 8K is just unreasonably demanding. It's too many pixels. Marked up, playable, but maybe better on windowed mode. And I'm not sure. Can 4 GB of VRAM handle upcoming modern games, or 6 GB is good? 6 GB should be the minimum, in my opinion. 4 GB is already being maxed out pretty easily in many games, so yeah, if you can go for 6 GB, do it. It's a good thing to have at the moment. Now that we're getting next gen consoles and all that, VRAM is going to go sky high. So yeah. And I see shadows like block. I really do not know how to explain it. Yeah, they are pixelated basically. It happens in the console version as well, unfortunately. So does the 1050 Ti does better than the 570? No, not at all. The 1050 Ti is significantly worse in this game. If I max it out, I get 30 frames per second with drops into the 20s. And the 570, if I do that, I get 40 to 50 frames. So the 570 in this game is significantly faster than the 1050 Ti. So 580, time to do it. Wish me luck. As you can see, there we go. RX 580. You can see it there. Time to jump back into the game. Again, I'm using a PS5 controller. Love the feel of it in my hands. That's what she said. Water. Okay. Will you try VR in these computers? Testing it, it will be fun to watch. Unfortunately, I cannot afford a VR headset. I prefer to spend it on more graphics cards. So yeah. At the moment, no plans to do so, but hey, maybe in the future, who knows. Do you watch South Park? If yes, who's your favorite character? I do not watch it. Personally, I think it's a little too much for me. But I understand why people like it, but I'm not one of them. Personally, I just prefer The Simpsons. I'm old school. Alright, so we're doing now on the 580. Let's unlock the frame rate on this one, so I show you how it runs. So we're doing 1080p highest settings. But as you can see, despite me selecting 120, we're still locked to 60. That's because the game is using VSync. So we're not allowed to disable VSync from the game menu, as you can see. If I try to have 120, the game just says, nah fam, your screen is only 60 Hz, why would you want 120? The game says. So yeah. Let's see. So yeah, see what I was talking about? If I select 120, the game just says lock at 60. That's because I have a 60 Hz display. So let me show you super quickly how to fix that. The only thing you need to do is disable the VSync in your graphics card control panel. So enable enhanced sync. That's another thing that you can do. So after you do that, you enable fast sync, enhanced sync, or just disable the VSync option in the AMD control panel. You're going to get unlocked frame rates. So yeah, in the meantime, the game will just be locked to 60. So as you can see now, the game is completely unlocked. But the issue with 120 FPS mode is that if you drop below 40, you're going to get slow motion. In this case, since we're into the 50s, it's okay, we can unlock the frame rate just fine. But if it drops into the 30s and 40s, you're going to get slow motion, no matter what. So yeah. So on the highest settings, on the 580, we're getting basically 50 to 60 frames. Again, just like the 570, I'll probably just lower the shadows to medium to get that lock to 60. So yeah, on the AMD cards, it's running pretty well, actually. So good news. I'm such a bad shot in this game. Alright, got him. Hi, Kandar, how are you doing, man? Good seeing you there. So as you can see on the highest settings, we're getting 60s with some drops into the 50s. So to fix that, pretty easy, go into the options menu. The part that says shadows, put it on medium. So you jump from, let me show you very quickly, from the 66 FPS to 70. So the parts where it drops into the 50s, it should be into the 60s. And I also forgot to mention the effects, lower those to low. And that should give you basically 60s on the 580 all the time, or most of the time at least. So medium shadows, low effects, which is basically the same as the 570, but it's getting a few extra frames, so you can be into the mid 60s even when fighting boss fights, better said. So yeah. As you can see, this is how you do it. Again, lower those shadows to medium, those effects to low, and you'll be good to go. You'll be over 60. And it should stay like that even when effects show up. Oh my, I'm going to die. Yeah, let's heal. Come on, come at me, bro. Never mind. Hey, Archie Bird, how are you doing, man? Good seeing you there. Long time no see. Drivers recommended or optional? These are the optional ones, and I got distracted. So as I was saying, yeah, the latest drivers, the latest optional drivers, those are the ones I use all the time. So as you can see, when running around here, I get drops in the frame rate like on the Nvidia cards, but not as bad as before. So as you can see, you stay over 60 basically all the time. So the 580 can do 1080p pretty well. Let's go to the boss fight and see if we can keep up with that frame rate. RX 6900 XT for $1,800, what? In Costa Rica? 570, 250. Well, I mean, in Uruguay is basically 2K, so makes sense. Makes sense that you're getting those prices. Super expensive. Do you like football? Not a fan. But in my country, if you don't like football, you're a sinner. Alright, so boss fight. It appears to be fine, man. A lot of effects on screen now. Holy hell. Okay. There it dropped into the 50s, but... oh my god. But it was just for a split second. F's in the chat for my character. He got stumped to death. I love that the game, when I die... let me show you. It says, press triangle to proceed to the tutorial. He's telling me, get good, bro. Let's practice a little bit more. I'm getting burned by my own game. Nioh 2 is telling me, hey, you're dying too much. Go to the tutorial. Practice before playing the game. That's hilarious, man. The game is telling me to get good. Alright, bye-bye. So yeah, the 580 is doing a good job with the game. Let's go now to 1440p, like we did with the 570. Hopefully we can get over 30 frames on that one. Oh, gotta go to the main menu to select that resolution, so 1 second guys, gotta go back to the menu. No, the 570 is faster than the 970, not that much though, it depends on the game really. So, Nioh 2, time to do 1440p now. So we go to the menu, 1440p. Alright, so 1440p, we're locking it to 60 because if not we're going to get slow motion when we drop into the 40s. So max settings, 1440p now. So 1440p max. It shows tutorial even when you're already at the end game. What? Really? That's hilarious, man. I love that the game just tells you, hey, go to the tutorial. You need to get good. Alright, so as you can see now, at 1440p highest settings, we're getting basically over 40 FPS. Probably going to drop into the 30s when S hits the F, to say it in some way. Oh, I forgot to block. Alright, bye-bye. Into the water. You still do 1060 tests? Not really, because the 1650 Super runs super similar. Let's see this way, if we're getting below 40. Yeah, here we drop into the 30s when running around. So you can do like the 570, 1440p 30 frames by going for the highest settings. So yeah. If you prefer visuals over frame rate, this is how. Just go for 1440p. And you get over 30 with good visuals. Good visuals considering what the game has to offer. It looks pretty much like the console version, really. I don't see a huge improvement. Maybe a little bit better shadows. But that's about it. Doesn't seem to be a huge improvement over the PlayStation versions. Your game is capped at 30 frames and you're unable to change it. Try changing the FPS cap in the main menu. And if that doesn't work, disable VSync on the NVIDIA control panel or enable the enhanced sync on the AMD panel. That should unlock the frame rate for you. Because the game for some reason forces VSync on you and you cannot change it. So you gotta disable it from the control panel of your GPU. So yeah, if you have that issue that your frames are locked for no reason, that's how you fix it. Just disable VSync from your drivers. And that should do it. Not sure why they didn't give us a VSync option, but hey, it's enabled by default, so not much that you can do about it. Let's go with the better stance. Holy hell, I'm going to die. But not now. Not you, sir. Okay. Neat. This game has a PS4 controller UI. When you use DualShock 4 DualSense, it has a PS4 UI no matter what. You do not have Xbox prompts or keyboard and mouse prompts. Unfortunately, you are stuck with the PlayStation prompts. Unfortunately, someone told me that they were working on a fix to add more prompts. Who knows? So yeah, right now you're stuck with PS4 prompts, unfortunately, even if you're doing mouse and keyboard. So keep that in mind. So we're now going to keep shadows on low, effects on low, ambient occlusion no, and no reflections. So basically low settings. Let's see if we can get 60s at 1440p. Yeah, there's an option for 120, but if you get less than 40 frames using that mode, you're going to get slow motion. Alright, so 1440p, low settings, and shadows enabled on the lowest. Yeah, we're already dropping into the 40s, so whoa, and he killed me super quickly, holy hell. So as I was saying, 60 frames at 1440p doesn't seem to be possible without disabling shadows, as you can see. If I run around this part, for example. Okay. Yep. I'm getting 60s now, that's weird. Alright, let's see if we can maintain 60s. Never mind what I said a second ago. Maybe we can keep shadows on low. Alright, let's go to the boss fight at 1440p. So yeah guys, just like Nioh 1, doesn't run particularly well, but it has a little bit more options, so that's a positive at least. Alright, when effects show up, I'm still getting those drops. Let's see in this boss fight. Holy hell. Yeah, it appears to be at 60. So you can do 1440p low settings, 60 frames. Can you get 120 or 720p? That's a good question. I'm going to try it. Let me get back to the menu so I can change the resolution. As far as I know, the PS5 does have a 120 FPS mode, but I don't know the resolution of it. If it's 720p, I'll be surprised. But hey. Sí, es un Souls-like, por eso te hacen pelota, sí. Alright, so let's try 720p and let's see if we can get 120. So we're dropping the resolution significantly in the hopes of getting 120. So let's put it max settings. Of course, max settings is probably going to be pretty bad, but we're going to start with those settings. So 120 FPS and 720p. So 720p, 120 FPS mode. Let's see how it goes. Probably going to have to drop some settings. Yeah, we're getting 95 FPS. So let's drop some stuff. Let's see if we can get 120. So we drop those shadows to medium. Alright, we jump directly into 120. Okay. Low effects. And that's basically it. So medium shadows. Low effects. So that's basically what I'm trying. Still we're dropping below 120. So yeah, if you want to do more than 100 FPS, still dropping some frames, probably had to disable the shadows completely. But yeah, you can get more than 100 FPS if you lower the resolution enough. PS5 fidelity mode is basically FPS over statics. Interesting. But the PS5 has a 120 FPS mode, but I do not know the resolution of that mode. I know that it has a checkerboarding option that is not present on the PC version. So yeah, things to keep in mind. Let's go heavy. So yeah, if you wanted to play at 100 FPS, you can, but not 120. Holy hell, what the... I wasn't expecting that. Oh my. I'm going to be reduced to atoms here. Once you think you're good at the game, you're going to get one of those one-hit kills. I don't have any more healing items. So yeah, pretty unfortunate. Yeah, getting wrecked. So if you want to try 100 FPS, you can do so. But you're not getting 120, you're getting 100, which I think is fine, considering how bad the game ran on the other cards. Let's see if I disable shadows. Alright, so if you want 120, you have to disable the shadows. So no shadows. Oh, it's 1080p 120 on the PS5. Gotcha, gotcha. So that's pretty cool, actually. That's pretty fast. So yeah, if you want 120, you need to disable those shadows. So yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you get 120. 720p, low effects, no shadows, and some flickering going. I'm not sure what's up with that. So yeah, now you can see. So time to do the 1650 Super, I think. We had enough with the 580. You can do 1080p. Let me show you the best settings before I go for the 1650 Super. So my best settings are medium shadows, low effects, and the rest basically enabled at 1080p. And that should give you basically 60 frames all the time. So yeah. Allow me a second to go back to the menu super quickly. So, 1080p, where are you? There you go, 1080p. Alright, perfect. 1080p, medium shadows, low effects, and basically the rest enabled. And that should give you basically 60 frames. So 1080p, medium shadows, low effects. So yes, I was saying, this is how you get 60s on the 580. 60 even when running around. He's gone, awesome. But yeah, there's still some stutter when running around, but at least you get over 60. So yeah, that's how you do it on the 580. And he wrecked me. That's not how you do it. So yeah, time to do the 1650 Super now. So bye bye. 580 for now. Time to do 1650 Super. So 1 second, guys, going to swap GPUs. Almost there. Yeah, I can kill the first boss. Yeah, I'm not good at the game. Not yet. I played very little. Usually when I get into a game, I try to play it as much as possible. But this time around, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for the boss fights and all that. So yeah, I played a lot of Dark Souls, but this one is a little bit faster, so yeah. Here's the 1650 Super, let's plug it in. Are you running the game on an SSD? Yeah, I am. I'm using a normal SSD, nothing fancy. So yeah, for the people asking, yeah, I'm using an SSD to play the game. The SSD is installed there, that's why it loads so quickly. You have to press a button to skip the loading screen, but it's super quick. Really nothing to worry about. Even on a hard drive it should be fine, but it will take longer to get past the loading screen, basically. I'm just using a normal SSD. Alright, how's the game so far? I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's more like a Souls-like game, so I'm usually into it, but I need to practice a lot. Because there's different stances and all that stuff that I'm not used to. I only played it for a couple hours, so yeah, time to go now to the game. So here's the 1650 Super, as you can see. Let's see if it's faster or slower. Some people were saying that it ran better on AMD because on Nvidia stutters quite a bit when effects show up. We'll see about that. Does it require SSD? No, it shouldn't. It should work on a hard drive as well. Alright, here we go. So first we're doing max settings. Which one do you think is better to get, 580 or 5500 XT? I'll get the 580, runs basically the same, but it should cost less. So yeah, that will be my thing. Which GPU do you personally use for gaming? I use a 2060. I'm going to test that one after this live stream is over, so you guys can see. Alright, so 1080p. Let's put it on the maximum. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if we can maintain 60s on 1080p. Is this a Harry Potter wallpaper? Yes, you can find it at the bottom of the description to download the wallpaper if you're interested. Okay. So definitely it's running worse than the 580. The 580 here, when I was sitting still, was getting more than 60. So yeah, definitely running better on the 580. I'm probably going to drop the effect quality to avoid those big stutters. But yeah, the 1650 Super on the highest settings is getting 40 frames, basically. So yeah, AMD wins the performance on this one, in my opinion. So let's stick away from highest settings. Let's do optimized settings, which were medium shadows and low effects. So let's lower those effects to low. Alright, so now medium shadows, low effects. So yeah, as you can see now, we're getting 60. Let's see when I run around. Okay, even the 570 is doing better than the 1650 Super on this one. Interesting. So on 1080p, I'm still getting many drops when running around, which on the AMD cards, I mean, it was still dropping, but not as low as this. It was sticking to 60. So I'm pretty surprised about it. I was expecting better numbers on this one. So yeah, on this game in particular, you're going to get a better experience on the 570 over the 1650 Super, which is quite rare. I tested a lot of games with these cards, and it's weird to see this one running worse, actually. So yeah, the Nvidia cards on this one are not doing so well, apparently. What do you do except gaming and streaming? I try to do Kung Fu, Tai Chi, all that good stuff. Breathing, meditating. Gotta chill a little bit. Okay, his head is gone. Awesome. Let's get all those arrows in that guy. Great, he's gone. Gone forever. Rest in pepperonis. So yeah, the best settings. Medium shadows, low effects. Basically, you should be getting 40 to 60. So yeah, pretty inconsistent on the Nvidia cards. I'm guessing this game might prefer AMD since the GPU in the PS4 was AMD. Yeah, I mean, makes sense, but at the same time, think of all the games that were on PS4 that run better on Nvidia cards. It's a big amount of games, so I don't understand how that works, really. It seems to be a game-to-game basis. Some games run better on Nvidia, some others on AMD, no matter if they're on the consoles or not. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. In this case, it's running better on AMD cards. At least for what I played so far. Alright, gone. So yeah, let's go now into the boss fight. Let's see how that goes. And then we're doing 1440p. Can't believe the RX 570 wins this against the 1650 Super. Well, same. I'm as surprised as you are, man. I was expecting this to completely wreck the 580, but even the 570 beats the 1650 Super in this game. Which is rare, but it happens sometimes. This is one of those rare instances. 580 versus 1063 gigs, help me. The 580 is faster on that one, in most cases. Alright. Yeah, I should have killed this grunt before fighting the big guy. But hey. Yeah, still over 60, at least right now, despite the effects on screen, so it's playable. You can get 60s on 1080p, so I guess it makes sense. Yeah, even with the amount of effects, seem to be doing okay. What is not doing okay is my skills. They are not present. So yeah, this is one of those games that runs better on AMD cards. So yeah, so for 1080p, do what I said a second ago. Do reflections, ambient occlusion, low effects, medium shadows, and basically you got 1080p 40 to 60, some stutter here and there. Time to do 1440p, let's see how that goes. We can probably do 30 frames per second, but we gotta give it a shot to find out. So yeah. And after this we're doing the 2060 on a separate live stream. So 1440p. How far in the game are you? This is basically the beginning of the game. I haven't played it a lot, very little, just to check it out. So I haven't played a lot of the game, very little. So yeah, now we're doing 1440p, medium shadows, and low effects, basically. And we're going to keep a 60 FPS cap, because if I put 120 and the game runs at 30 or 40, it's going to slow down. So that's one of the bad things about the port. If you select 120, it goes in slow motion below 40, so... Okay. What the heck? We're getting 60s? I'm confused. Okay, we're getting 40s. Yeah, but it runs super similar to 1080p. What is going on here? The heck? Okay, I'm super confused now. Yeah, pretty confused. But okay, 1440p appears to be doing pretty well. It's dropping more often below 60 though, which makes sense. But still, I'm pretty confused. Let's try something different. I'm going to try 1080p once again, but this time with the 60 FPS lock. Maybe that's what's destroying the numbers. So let's try the 60 FPS log instead of 120. I don't think that will make a difference, but yeah, 1440p appears to be okay with these settings. So yeah, pretty weird. But I'm okay with it. 1440p looks great. So if you can get 60s with these settings, I'm all for it. No, I don't think this game is sponsored by AMD. And that doesn't justify anything. I mean, I saw games sponsored by AMD that run better on Nvidia cards, so that's not a guarantee. So yeah, let's go to the boss fight. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong, really. Pretty weird. But that's fine, I guess. 1440p looks much better. So if you get almost the same numbers, I'm all for it. 1080p and 1440p are the same, really strange. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's not using all the GPU on 1080p. Maybe. Although at 1080p with these settings I was getting like 80 frames in this particular part. So it makes sense. 1080p here was more than 60, so nothing strange about it now that I look at it better. The only thing that is the same is my skills. They are not present. So yeah, there's a lot on screen when I'm battling that boss. But sometimes when I run past certain sections like this, I'm getting some drops into the 40s. So yeah, not sure what's up with that. As you can see here, I drop into the 40s. Let's go for the quick stance. So yeah, I mean, you can do 1440p just fine, apparently. If you don't mind the drops into the 40s, you can do it just fine. And on 1080p, use the same settings and you won't drop below 60 much. You only drop when you're running around like me, which is pretty unusual, because you're usually fighting the enemy, not running from them. So yeah, let's go to the first... I was going to say bonfire, but it's not a bonfire. This is not Dark Souls. Focus, Santiago, focus. Boom, dead. So I was going to show you guys, there's another boss fight at the very start of the game here. So when you start the game, this door right here is locked. So you have to go past this guy first, this tiny person. And then you gotta face a boss if you want. Alright. So that's the first character you fight, but then you got this big dude waiting for you. And the game tells you you don't have to fight every character. So this is basically just bait. So you don't need to fight him. You can just go around, open the door, and continue with your journey. You don't need to kill him. It's hilarious that when you're fighting this boss for the first time, the game tells you you don't need to engage every enemy. Like saying, just stay away, you're not good enough yet to fight him. So yeah, that's what I do. I just hit him until I die. I still call the lanterns in Bloodborne bonfires. Okay. Yeah, I cannot get the habit out of me. In my mind, there are still bonfires. Oh my. I'm going to die. That's range though. So yeah, do not fight this boss. I don't know, better resolution, enhanced performance. The thing is that it didn't enhance the performance. It was just more consistent, which is weird. So my advice would be, if you're doing 1080p, just lock it to 60. It's going to give you a way smoother experience. You're not going to have 80 frames, 1040, then you're just going to have 60s and 40s. So yeah, anyways, let's see if we have 4K as an option. We should, in the options menu, of course. How old are you? I'm 25. I'm pretty old. Alright. So let's try now 4K. So graphic settings. Okay, 4K is not on the list. Let me get back to the desktop, because my native resolution is different. So 4K. Come on, 4K. And we launch the game once more. Yeah, probably 4K 30 is doable. Let's see. Are you going to do Back 4 Blood when it's out? Yeah, of course. I'm using a PS5 controller, for the people wondering. I have a tutorial on my channel on how to make it work. Yeah, it has PlayStation buttons no matter what, unfortunately. Yeah, you're stuck with PlayStation prompts in this game. No matter if you're using mouse and keyboard or whatever, you're stuck with those. So yeah, pretty unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. Hopefully they patch it soon to include the correct prompts. So yeah, it's time to do 4K. Wish me luck. So 4K, awesome. Nah, 8K this time around, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get past the first menu, so... Yeah, let's disable ambient occlusion and reflections. So low shadows. No SSAO. no SSR. So no reflections, no ambient occlusion, but we get low shadows. And this is 4K, not 1440p. 4K low shadows. You're 40? What? Really? That's insane, man. You're super old. Sorry about that. Now you're super young, I guess. It depends from where you see it. People in their 60s will say, hey, 40 is super young. You're 69? What? 69? You're older than my parents. If you're 69. Lol, 69. Okay, so at 4K we're getting... Whoa, hang on. There we go. We're getting 30 frames per second. Let's see once we get into the boss fight. Which should be this way. Yeah, I think I'm in the right path. Let's get away. Yeah, let's get out of here. Oh no, this is not the correct way. Oh my, I'm going to die. Is it this way? Oh man. No. I don't have to die yet. You're 21. You're 89. Lol, 89. We need 8K test. Okay, I'm going to do 8K after 4K. But apparently you can do 4K 30 frames. Are you using a 4K monitor? Yes, sir. To do these ridiculous tests, I have a 4K display. Yep. Alright, wish me luck. Okay, still 30 frames. Alright, yeah. 30 frames even in the boss fight. So I'm going to die at 30 frames per second now, instead of 80, which makes sense. Holy hell. Those FPS. I mean, I'm dying anyways, so... That frame rate though. Yeah, do not do 4K. As you can see, the VRAM usage is completely maxed out. That's why I dropped to 10 frames per second. So yeah, I'm not doing 8K. Sorry guys. I had enough. Yeah. 4K is already maxing out the VRAM, so lower those textures. So yeah, 4K is already too much. So 8K probably on the 2060. So guys, I'm going to now do the 2060 test. So let me show you. Let me give you a link for that, so you guys can join me on the other live stream. It's going to take me a few minutes, but I'm going to get there. So I'm going to have a small break. Yeah, maybe 20-30 minutes, and I'll be back with you guys. So let me share the the link with you. 1 second. What the heck? Come on. There we are. So yeah, I'm going to do the 2060 now. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I'll see you in a few minutes on the 2060 test. Yeah, if you want to do 1080p, use medium shadows, low effects, and it should be okay. Lock it to 60. So yeah, see you next time guys. Bye bye. See you in a few minutes in the other live stream.